After months and months of uncertain and vague updates on the status of Lonzo Ball's health and whether he would be ready to go to start the season, well, we got the news that we expected, but we're still hoping not to hear. As reported a few weeks back by Jamal Collier and Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, that Lonzo Ball was going to be missing training camp and likely the start of the regular season, it has now been confirmed by the Chicago Bulls that Lonzo Ball will undergo surgery on that left knee that has been ailing him for some time now. The surgery will take place on September 28th in LA, and he'll be reevaluated 4 to 6 weeks from now. Keep in mind, that does not mean that Lonzo will be ready to go and return to action 4 to 6 weeks from now. That just is the timeline for which he'll be reevaluated and assess his status to see how he's progressing. Now, let's say that at the absolute best case scenario in which he's evaluated in 4 weeks from now and he's fully recovered and he's healthy and ready to go, from that point, based on the surgery, the absolute soonest he could return to action is October 26th, which would mean he would miss the first 5 games of the season. So at a minimum, Lonzo is going to be missing some time. 5 games for sure. If we're looking at the end of the timeline, at 6 weeks, that's a return of November 9th, which would be an additional 8 games for a total amount of missed games at 13 to start the regular season. Now, I said in a video a few weeks back, when ESPN first reported that Lonzo was going to be missing training camp and the start of the regular season, that although it could be worse, right? It's not like he's going to be missing the whole season. The fact of the matter is, Lonzo even missing 10 to 15 games this season is a huge blow to the Bulls, just because the margin of error in the East this season in the Eastern Conference is so slim with how competitive the East got. And a couple losses could mean the difference from being a play-in team to getting home court advantage in the first round. And so now that we know Lonzo is at least missing the first 5 games of the season, potentially up to 13, and to be honest, it really could be even more given that this is just when he'll be reevaluated. Let's not forget, Lonzo was supposed to be reevaluated 6 to 8 weeks from the time of his initial surgery from his injury back in January, and he still hasn't returned to full health. So this honestly could mean Lonzo misses the first couple months of the season, but we won't go into a doomsday scenario just yet. I mean, if there is anything positive to take away from today's news, it's that, hey, after all this, after his status for return kept getting pushed out to where he wouldn't return for the rest of the season, to where throughout the offseason we kept getting these vague and non-update responses from the Bulls on the status of Lonzo's condition, that, hey, he's progressing, yes, he's progressing, although it's very slow. We never got a timeline for when we could expect Lonzo to return. Well, now we actually have an update. He's gonna get surgery. Not the best, because that's his 3rd surgery that he's having on this knee, but he's gonna have surgery, and he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. That's when he'll be reevaluated anyway. So if there's anything that we can take away from it, it's that we should expect Lonzo to come back at some point this season. I think it would be a disaster if this kept getting pushed out even further, but I guess then again, we maybe shouldn't be surprised based on what we experienced last time. But this is a huge loss for the Bulls, just because he's so critical to the Bulls' success, both on offense and on defense. I am curious to see who the Bulls are going to be starting in his place. It's making a lot of sense now that they brought in Goran Dragic and promised him minutes. I'll be curious to see if potentially they start Dosunmu, maybe Coby White, doubtful. Maybe even Alex Caruso, get some veteran experience. They need someone else that's going to be able to provide defense in the starting lineup. I think most likely it's going to be Dragic, based on Billy Donovan and the way that he likes to favor veterans over some of the younger players, especially when every game is going to be so critical this season with how competitive the East is going to be. I'm curious to know who you guys think will be in the starting lineup. Let me know down in the comments who you think the Bulls are going to go ahead and start the regular season. Also, let me know your thoughts on this update regarding Lonzo Ball and his health. Again, another setback, not the best news, but at least we have a definitive timeline now. So let me know in the comments. And guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.